If you can hit me, Ali's voice sliced through 60 crew members frozen on the MGM studio's backlot. Cameras sat idle. Boom mics hung limp. The February sun hammered down on fake Oriental architecture and scattered martial arts props, baking the smell of dust and old sweat into the air. Bruce Lee stood motionless in his blood-stained costume, hands resting at his sides. The fabric clung to his chest, damp from the last choreographed fight sequence. His face revealed nothing, but his eyes tracked Ali's every micro-movement. The greatest boxer alive shrugged off his jacket. It hit the ground with a soft thump that sounded like a gunshot in the silence. Ali rolled his shoulders, massive and fluid. He stepped forward. The crew edged back without realizing they'd moved. This wasn't a film set anymore. Bruce's breathing remained slow, deliberate. Ali bounced once on his toes, testing the uneven ground beneath his polished shoes. A cameraman swallowed hard. The director opened his mouth, then closed it again. The space between the two men contracted with each heartbeat. Ali raised his fists. His knuckles looked like weapons forged from bone and scar tissue. And that's when Bruce spoke, his voice barely louder than a whisper. 2 hours earlier, the backlot had smelled of sawdust and fresh paint. Muhammad Ali arrived like weather systems do, announced but still surprising. Crew members abandoned their equipment to shake his hand. His laughter carried across the Oriental facades, infectious and bright. Robert Klaus welcomed him personally, gesturing toward the fight choreography set where Bruce Lee prepared for the next sequence. Ali leaned against a lighting rig, watching Bruce move through rehearsed strikes. The smaller man's body flowed like water finding cracks in stone. Cameras rolled. Extras fell in coordinated patterns. Artificial blood gleamed on Bruce's costume under the February sun. Cut, Klaus's voice echoed off the fake temple walls. Ali's comment sliced through the sudden quiet. That's great movie fighting. But it's not real fighting. The words hung in the air like smoke after gunfire. Imagine being the crew member nearest to Ali when he spoke, feeling every eye shift from the champion to Bruce Lee, waiting to see if the legend in blood-stained silk would respond to what everyone understood was not a compliment. Bruce turned slowly from the stunt coordinator he'd been consulting. His expression revealed nothing, but something in the way he moved toward Ali made the entire set understand that work had just stopped for reasons no one could yet name. The distance between them collapsed to 3 feet. Bruce stopped, still wearing his blood-stained costume from the interrupted scene. Fake blood streaked down his chest, dark against yellow fabric. He met Ali's eyes without flinching. "You're right," Bruce said. His voice carried no challenge. "It's choreographed." Ali's shoulders relaxed slightly. "But the principles are real." The champion leaned back, grin spreading wide across his face. "Principles," he rolled the word around like a joke. "Principles don't matter against a heavyweight punch, man." Around them the set transformed. Walter Chen lowered his camera slowly, deliberately. The boom operator killed his mic. Robert Klaus opened his mouth, then closed it. 60 crew members abandoned their posts, drawn forward by gravity neither fighter controlled. Equipment forgotten. Schedules erased. Bodies gathered in a widening circle. The February sun hammered down on Oriental architecture and martial arts props. Sweat began to bead on Bruce's temples. Ali straightened to his full height, 6'3" of muscle and bone. The difference in size became impossible to ignore. Few watching could imagine how this ended without disaster. Bruce's hands hung loose at his sides, fingers slightly curved. Ali noticed. His grin vanished. "Would you like to test that principle?" Bruce's voice was quiet, but it carried across the set like a blade drawn from silk. 60 crew members heard every syllable. The February heat pressed down on them all. Ali's playful grin dissolved, replaced by something harder. "You want to test it? Right here." His tone held disbelief mixed with curiosity. Bruce nodded once, slow and deliberate. The blood-stained costume clung to his frame. "One technique, you punch me. I'll show you how principles beat power." The offer hung in the air between them. Ali's shoulders rolled back, his jaw tightened. The size difference became undeniable. The heavyweight champion towered over the movie star by 40 pounds of muscle and 6 inches of reach. Every person watching understood the physics. One clean punch could end this demonstration before it began. "If I punch you," Ali's voice dropped lower, "I'll hurt you." It wasn't a boast. It was a warning wrapped in genuine concern. Bruce's expression didn't change. His hands remained loose at his sides, fingers slightly curved, weight balanced on the balls of his feet. The crew held their breath. Director Robert Klaus stepped forward, mouth opening to intervene, but Ali raised one massive hand, stopping everything. The champion rolled his neck left, then right, joints cracked like gunfire. Bruce walked to the center of the circle. His hands hung at his sides, loose, natural. The blood-stained costume still clung to his chest, dark patches of fake gore reflecting February sun. He stopped between a wooden training dummy and a coil of camera cables. Ali's forehead creased. "You're not even going to guard." "I don't block," Bruce said. "I redirect." The words hung in the superheated air. 60 crew members formed a human arena, their shadows stretching across concrete. Walter Chen's camera sat forgotten on its tripod, but his eyes captured everything. Ali shifted his weight, testing his footing. That's insane." Bruce's posture remained utterly relaxed. Few could understand what he saw in that moment. The micro-telegraphs in Ali's shoulders, the subtle weight transfer before a punch begins, the involuntary eye-targeting that precedes every strike. Ali threw a jab, fast, measured, a boxer's question mark. Bruce's hand moved. It wasn't a block, no collision of force against force. His palm swept upward in a tight arc, catching Ali's wrist at the final inch of extension. The jab sailed past Bruce's ear, close enough that the wind of it stirred his hair. Ali blinked. Then his jaw set, and something changed in his eyes, something competitive and hungry that every champion carries. Ali's jaw tightened. The testing was over. His shoulders squared, muscles coiling beneath his shirt. The playfulness drained from his face. What remained was the boxer who had broken Sonny Liston twice, who had survived 14 rounds with Joe Frazier. 60 crew members held their breath. Some leaned forward, others stepped back involuntarily. Walter Chen's hand trembled against his camera rig. Bruce remained utterly still. No shift in stance, no adjustment of weight. His eyes locked on Ali's eyes, not the fists that would deliver the blow, reading intention at its source. The February sun pressed down on the MGM backlot. Heat radiated off the concrete. Sweat glistened on Ali's forehead, tracking slowly down his temple. The scent of dust and dried prop blood hung in the motionless air. 1 second, 2, 3, nobody moved. The painted oriental facades watched. The scattered nunchaku and practice swords became witnesses. Time stretched thin as silk thread. The world contracted. 2 men, empty space. The distance between them suddenly felt infinite and microscopic at once. Ali's weight shifted to his back foot. Then everything exploded forward. Ali's right shoulder dropped, his hips rotated. The cross came, heavyweight power compressed into knuckles aimed at Bruce's jaw. Bruce's torso shifted 3 inches offline. The fist whistled past his ear, close enough that the displaced air touched his skin. Walter Chen's camera rig clattered to the ground behind him, forgotten. No pause. Ali pivoted, his left hook already in motion, a sweeping arc designed to demolish ribs. The sound cut through the February heat, leather glove slicing atmosphere. Bruce dropped beneath it. The hook sailed over his head, and in that fraction of emptiness, Bruce moved forward, not backward, forward. Into the space where Ali's extended arm created a door. Suddenly he was inside. Ali's guard, that fortress of reach and muscle that had protected him through 70 professional fights, was gone. Bruce stood in the hollow between Ali's chest and chin, close enough to smell the sweat on the champion's neck. His right hand rose, 2 fingers extended. They touched Ali's throat. Gentle as a whisper against skin, resting on the pulse point for 1 heartbeat, then withdrew. The entire crew exhaled as one organism, a collective release of breath nobody realized they'd been holding. Ali's eyes went wide. His hands dropped to his sides. Bruce stepped back, his expression unreadable, but his body language spoke a language few on that backlot could translate: respect, restraint. And something else entirely, a demonstration of what violence looks like when it chooses mercy. But Ali wasn't looking at Bruce anymore. He was staring at his own hands, opening and closing his fists slowly, as if discovering them for the first time. What had just entered his mind would change everything he thought he understood about fighting. Ali's chest rose and fell, the rhythm unsteady. His hands opened, then closed. "You didn't hit me." Bruce stepped back 3 paces. His blood-stained costume hung loose on his frame, but his spine remained straight. Respect radiated from the distance he'd chosen to create. "Because this is a movie set." The words carried no pride. "But I showed you I could have." Ali's jaw worked silently. His eyes traced Bruce's shoulders, his hips, the angles that had dissolved his power into empty air. Shock bled into something else, recognition dawning like heat through skin. "You're faster than you look in movies. Cameras can't capture actual speed." Bruce's voice dropped lower. "They capture choreography." The space between them hummed with unspoken questions. Ali's breathing steadied. He nodded once, slow and deliberate. No words followed. None were needed. Walter Chen watched through his viewfinder, finger frozen above the record button he hadn't pressed. Robert Klaus stood motionless at the edge of the circle, insurance contracts forgotten. Ali's hand extended, not for combat but connection, and what Bruce did next would change everything about how 2 warriors saw their separate worlds. Ali turned to Robert Klaus. "Let us spar for real." The director's clipboard clattered against a lighting stand. "Absolutely not. Insurance won't cover it. If either of you gets injured, I understand." Bruce's voice cut through the protest cleanly. The crew began dispersing, their footsteps shuffling across sun-baked asphalt. Ali lingered, waiting. When the last cameraman disappeared around the corner, he pulled a scrap of paper from his pocket. Bruce wrote an address in return, fingers swift and deliberate. 3 days later, they met at an unmarked gym that smelled of leather and liniment. No cameras, no witnesses. Bruce demonstrated Wing Chun trapping, guiding Ali's massive fists into the tight geometry of close combat. Ali felt the walls closing in, how each deflection fed into another, how space collapsed until punching became impossible. His breath quickened as Bruce's hands controlled his wrists like a puppeteer commanding strings. Then Ali taught footwork, the pivots that created angles, the subtle weight shifts that generated knockout power. Bruce mirrored the movements, absorbing the dance of distance and timing. On the 4th morning, a sports journalist named Philip Hastings appeared at Ali's hotel, holding a camera and questions about the rumored encounter. Someone had talked. Ali stared at the photograph spread across the hotel room table. Grainy, long lens, the unmarked gym entrance clearly visible. He leaned back against the vinyl chair. The squeak cut through the silence. "You gonna write a scandal piece?" Ali asked. Hastings shook his head. "I write about fighters, what I saw. I need your side." Ali's jaw set. He looked at the photographs one more time, then pushed them back toward the journalist. "Bruce Lee is the real deal," Ali said, each word measured. "Not just a movie star, he's a legitimate fighter, different than boxing, but legitimate." Hastings' pen moved across the notepad. The scratch of graphite captured history. "You're saying he could actually—" "I'm saying what I saw." Ali stood. "Write that." 1 week later, the quote appeared in Sports Illustrated. Martial arts schools from Hong Kong to New York pinned the article to their walls. The ink still smelled fresh when masters began debating it, dissecting it, celebrating it. 2 philosophies of combat had met in private, tested each other without cameras or crowds, recognized shared truth beneath different methods. February 1973 became more than memory. It became legend.